This is a phone I had to go all the way to China to get. It's the Pura X Max, Huawei's newest foldable, which released in China on April 20th and is expected to release globally later in May, everywhere except here in the US. Why? Because Huawei got hit with the FCC's ban hammer back in 2023 over allegations of espionage, controversial allegations to this very day, I might add. It's what's called a passport-style design that delivers a more natural viewing experience for 16:9 content, and when held vertically better mimics a mini tablet or e-reader. With Apple expected to release allegedly the most repairable foldable in this style later this year, we thought this one would be worth taking a look at. But there's more here than just the form factor to coo over, including a pretty cool looking physical aperture on the main camera. Plus, it's been several years since we looked at one of Huawei's phones, and I'm curious to see if they've kept up or even exceeded the hardware trends I'm used to, especially where repair is concerned. So, without further ado, let's get to the teardown. Like all foldables I've torn down, this one has screens covering 2 of its 3 surfaces, so the least risky entry point is going to be the back glass. That camera bump is going to get in the way, so I'm placing it on the edge of my heat mat to distribute the heat evenly. Once the glue is toasty, it's time to use a suction cup to create a gap and start slicing the glue away with an opening pick. Pretty standard stuff for a smartphone so far. The guts of this phone really appeals to me as a gadget nerd. A clear back cover would look pretty awesome here. Now that the front screen is heated up, I'm going to run the same process again and lift the screen to create an entry point for my opening pick. It's worth noting that the glue on this side is significantly stronger. The screen's flex cable looks like it's trapped under a long bracket, which felt a bit unusual to me. Turns out it could have been released without undoing any of the screws. That's good, we want easy access wherever possible. With the outer screen off, I can unfold the phone and start dismantling the components. Peeling a sticker back on the wireless charging assembly on the left reveals a bracket and some screws. That lets me remove the wireless charging assembly and gives me an unobstructed view of both batteries. I can now disconnect the interconnect and battery cables on the right side of the phone, so that side should be fully disconnected from power. Over on the left, there's a bracket securing the battery connector, which I need to remove. Once that's out, I can disconnect the battery and the remaining press connectors, fully cutting power to the whole device. As always, my goal is to reach the battery, which on this device means removing the lower assembly and USB-C port. Batteries are the only consumable components inside modern smartphones, generally lasting 2 to 3 years before they start to wear out. Being able to easily replace batteries is critical, and batteries that are buried like this make safe repairs and recycling more difficult than they need to be. But hey, at least that USB-C port is modular and easily accessible. With the cables out of the way, I now need to figure out how to remove the batteries. They're clearly glued in, and I can't see anything like an adhesive strip nearby. That means isopropyl alcohol and a suction cup. It's not the worst battery removal procedure I've had to deal with, but again, it's far from the best. It's another indicator that repairability wasn't seriously considered in this phone's design. Together, these batteries hold an impressive 19.73 watt-hours of energy. Moving on, I need to remove the main camera assembly next to clear a path to the mainboard. That means a few screws, including one concealed by the flash assembly, and another hidden underneath a tamper-proof sticker. As a reminder for US consumers, tamper-proof stickers do not void your warranty, but that obviously won't apply to a phone that isn't sold in the US. I can now remove the top bracket housing the 2-megapixel 2nd-gen Red Maple camera, a dedicated sensor used for better color reproduction. After that is the 50-megapixel periscope telephoto lens with 3.5x optical zoom, followed by the 12.5-megapixel ultra-wide. The main camera itself is buried under the board, so I'll need to go digging. That means a few more screws and a couple of coax cables, which frees the mainboard from the chassis and nets me the 50-megapixel main camera. This camera has a physical aperture, something that's simulated in software on modern phones and a feature that I haven't seen since the Galaxy S9. Having a physical aperture allows for better low-light performance, more natural depth of field, and even sharper daylight photos. Despite the complexity, these apertures are fairly common in Chinese phones, and a feature rumored to be making a comeback in upcoming Samsung and Apple phones. Let's take a closer look at that mainboard. The Kirin 9030 Pro system on chip stands out with a sizable footprint. The Kirin chips are developed by HiSilicon and manufactured by SMIC, China's leading semiconductor foundry. If none of that sounds familiar, it's probably because they're not at the cutting edge of semiconductor technology. That and the fact that export controls prevent SMIC from accessing the latest lithography machines that would allow them to get to the cutting edge. The Kirin 9030 Pro is roughly comparable to a 5nm node that first entered volume production back in 2020. Meanwhile, current generation phones are using semiconductors based on the 3nm node. In practical terms, that means SoCs like Apple's A19 Pro are far more efficient and far more powerful. All that's left inside the chassis is the outer screen's 8-megapixel selfie camera, a daughter board, and a second 8-megapixel selfie camera mounted in the corner of the foldable inner screen. Now it's time to tackle the foldable screen itself. That starts by heating it up and removing the very stubborn plastic bezel. Now, I've spoken to a few independent repair shops and few are willing to tackle an inner screen only repair. There's a few reasons for this, the biggest being that if the inner screen isn't mounted perfectly on the chassis, the folding motion will break the new screen. That's a very expensive mistake to make, and for the vast majority of techs, it's far easier to swap out all the components into a new chassis with a pre-installed inner display. All that to say, it was guaranteed that I'd break the screen. What's worse, as I cut through the bezel and the adhesive under the screen, I was expecting the screen's flex cable to be located close to the press connector that I could see on the other side. It was not. That flex cable ran to the very edge of the screen, which I sliced right through. Needless to say, that's a less than optimal outcome, but like I said, I wasn't expecting the screen to survive my clumsy attempt at removal. For screen repairs, OEM replacements will usually give you a chassis with a screen pre-mounted. The only reason I removed it was to get a closer look at the spine of the foldable screen. Now, according to Huawei, the Pura X Max meets both IP58 and IP59 ratings, which, yes, is 2 ratings instead of 1 that I'm also confused by. Apparently, these are domestic Chinese ratings if my translator app is to be believed. The hinge is sealed from exterior particles, that much is clear, but the spine of the screen itself is also protected. If we look closer under a microscope, we can see that the pores dotted through the spine of the screen are filled with a flexible adhesive. Not only did they protect the moving parts in the hinge, but they also plugged any ingress points on the inner panel itself. The Huawei Pura X Max is an undeniably attractive bit of hardware, there's no doubt about it. Despite the barriers placed on Huawei's ability to compete in the semiconductor space, the integration of a physical aperture on the main camera and the adoption of a dedicated 2-megapixel color enhancement sensor does showcase some small but meaningful innovations. With that said, the repair experience also sets this phone apart, but in all the wrong ways. It lacks a basic level of common sense modularity. In the absence of service manuals, itself a major pain point, it's especially important to adopt a design that avoids tamper-proof stickers, concealed screws, and prioritizes quick and easy battery replacements. That battery replacement process is where this phone fails most egregiously. Both cells are glued in without a pull tab or any kind of release mechanism in sight, a very odd thing to see in 2026. And granted, the foldable category is especially challenging where repairability is concerned, but even so, it's clear that the Pura X Max looks to the future with its hardware, but the battery replacement process tells me it's firmly stuck in the past.